Hey everyone, Part of the Creed here. The month is coming to an end, and as promised, the podcast will be coming back. Also, as promised, some things are going to be changing, so let's talk about those. First of all, there's a straw poll in the description asking whether or not I should continue having the news section of the podcast. So, I've heard feedback from a couple people that they don't really care as much about the news section, and even more feedback that the meta discussion is the favorite part of the podcast. So if you guys want, I can take away the news section and add even more time to talk about the meta discussion. This should help those of you who wanted me to increase the podcast to 90 minutes before, when I first asked about it, so we could talk more while also not making it super lengthy for those of you who could only spare 60 minutes. In addition, this would remove the first 20 minutes of every episode becoming irrelevant after just a few days, so the podcast itself will be more sustainable in the future. So go down there and vote in the poll for whichever option you'd prefer. Now for the second bit. Due to many services that I use to make the podcast, I'm currently making negative returns every single month on the podcast. And as a college student, it's not really sustainable, especially with all the ideas I have for actually growing the podcast. So I've set up a Patreon page, and if you enjoy the podcast and would like to help out, I'd really appreciate it if you'd support me on Patreon. Doesn't have to be a lot. Some of the reward tiers on the page are like really high, for those of you who really want to, but like just $1 a month means a lot. So thank you. If you're interested, there will be a link in the description. The final thing is that, as mentioned, college prevents me from like pouring hours and hours I spend on the podcast every week. So I'm re-extending the request for an audio editor, a few hours a week to help keep the podcast running on time, and hopefully down the line, if the Patreon page is successful, I can pay you more than just thank yous. So if you have experience with audio editing at all, hit me up. There'll be info in the description, and thank you so much. So podcast will be coming soon. That's the gist of it, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye for now.